የዛሬውን አጋጣሚ ልክ እንደ ሰርፕራይዝ ሾው መንፈሴን ያነቃቃኝ እንትላየው እዚህ ጋር የምትመለከቱት ነው። ይሄ የሃይማኖት ኮንትሪቢዩሽን ነው። ሃይማኖት በላይ ሃይማኖትን ለዚህ ሀገር 18 ዓመት ነው ለ18 ዓመት ሙሉ ጊዜ ውስጥ አቃታለሁ። አብረን አንድ ካምፕስ ነበር በተካታም ኦሲ ትናንትና ደውላ ክብረት ቡና ላፈላ ነው ማለት እቻለ ይሁን ለማለት ነው። ግን ጥሩ አጋጣሚ ደግሞ ብራይል መሰለ የኛ ቢጤ ሶስ ስለነበረ ይሄ ሆነና ቀደም እናንተ ጋር እንዳላችሁ ጀለ ካሜራ ውስጥ ቡና ይዘናል ማለት ነው። ቡናችንን እየጠጣን ፕሮግራማችንን እናካሂዳለን። ሃይማኖትን እናካሂዳለን።
አንደና መጣችሁ እንግዶችም ሌሎችም የሚጋብዝሬ ካቶን ኢትዮጵያ ኮፊ
ሌላ በዚህ አጋጣሚ ይሄ ወራዊ ዝግጅታችን ነው። የወሩ ቅዳሜ የምንዘጋጅበት ዋናው ዓላማው ብዙ ጊዜ ተጋግሜ እንዳልኩት ሀሳባችን የምንመካከርበት ርዕሰ ጉዳዮችን እያነሳን የምንወያይበት ነፃ የሆነ መድረክ ማመቻቸት ይሄ ተልዕኳችን ነው። አሁን ካለፈው ጃንዋሪ ጀምረን ዛሬ ተሰብስበናል። እንዳጋጣሚ ጁን ወር ረፍት ጊዜያችን ነበር። ነገር ግን አልማዝ እዚህ ሀገር መጥቼ ይሄንን የወንጂ መተሃራ እና የሸዋ ሱፐር ፋብሪካ ሰራተኞችን ጉዳይ አንድ ነገር ማድረግ አለብኝ። ይሄ ሆነ ጁን ላይ ይሄን ፕሮግራም አስቤት ነበር። እንደዚህ ሰው እናመቻች አልማዝ ነው ያልኳት። አልማዝ ብቻ አይደለም የመጣችው ተከትሏት ባለቤቷ አይላስ መጥቷል። ከዴንማርክ ደግሞ ተፈራ መጥቷል። ስለዚህ ምንድነው ማድረገው ለአልማዝና ለተፈራ መጀመሪያ ለሁላችንም እንደው አጠቃላይ እንግዳ እንዲኖረን ያስር ወይ 15 ደቂቃ ፕሬዘንቴሽን ይደረጋል። ከዛ በኋላ እኔ እናንተ ተኩል ከነሱ ጋር ያያያናል። ለከዛ በፊቱ እኔ መድረክ ላይ ይዤ ከሌሎች ጋር ተጫውተን ጥያቄና መልስ ማለት ነው። እናንተ ወርቃለና መድረኩ ይወላችሁ ፕሮግራማችን እንጀምራለን። ከዛ በፊት ግን በአልማዝ ሰጀሽን አስተያየት እና ግብዣ
Our purpose today is to make a noise. The noise that we wish drops in all our ears and the ears of the world to get justice and to bring awareness to the neglected Wonji, Showa, and to Metehara, fluoride, and asbestos victims. I'm here today to speak to you about something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm here today to make the connection between environmental issues with human rights violation. I'm here today to speak to stop the cycle of Wonji fluoride asbestos victims and the future generation of these underreported and neglected victims who are in deep despair, and the future generation of this hidden agenda. But to hold the Netherlands government and HVA accountable for their unspeakable crime committed on us. When I say Wonji and Wonji Showa and Metehara resident victims, it doesn't mean I'm speaking for them. I am one of them. Ato Tafaradis also, he's one of the victims. Today, we have distributed to you a few printouts in the morning, but unless you see it, it's difficult to imagine the magnitude of their painful agony these victims are going through. Today, I will talk briefly that you, the audience, will have a chance to ask questions or suggestions you may have. Let me brief you about HVA International, HVA. HVA was founded in 1873, specialized in dairy, poultry, sugar, oil palm, coffee, tea industries, farms, plantation, and consulting in Africa, South America, and Asia. HVA was in Indonesia for many years and left after Indonesia independence in 1945 because Indonesia ends its economic colonization. HVA then came to Ethiopia and established 3 sugar factories. The first in Wonji in 1954, Wonji Showa in 1960, and third in Metehara in 1968. Then HVA faced the same problem of economic decolonization in 1974 to 1975 by the communist regime led by Mengistu Haile Mariam of Ethiopia in the 3 sugar factories. When I say economic colonization is different from colonization. Colonization is between nations, but economic colonization means that you don't want to jeopardize anything because you don't want to lose your job and your living standards. So you have to be set by their rules and regulations, not by Ethiopian government. So we, the residents of Wonji, Showa, and Metehara, were economically colonized because the Ethiopian government at that time, they don't have their own environmental rules, regulations. They don't have anything to do with us. We were left and we were just living like South Africa with all the segregation and discrimination. So that's why I keep repeating economic colonization. Why did HVA choose Ethiopia to establish the sugar factories? The answer is simple. 1, cheap labor. 2, less or no environmental standard or regulations. 3, clear exploitation. And the 4th one is for profit. If there is exploitation, there is a lot of profit. Why did HVA didn't establish sugar factories in Europe? Clear. 1, incredibly expensive to run. 2, some environmental regulation and restriction exist, so they cannot afford that. When I say economic colonization, it means when companies exploit resources in the name of development in developing countries or third world countries. That's why HVA was doing in Ethiopia by having their own rules, taxation, labor recruitment, no environmental rules and regulation from the Ethiopian government, and where they're victimized is not like only environmental issues. With our rights, our dignity was taken away. We were almost slaves. For me, personally, HVA was a slave owner company because we were segregated in a living condition, school, recreation, medical treatment in the hospital, and that will explain why I'm saying that we're colonized, we're slaves for HVA. As a child in Wonji, I had witnessed a lot of segregation, discrimination, physical and mental abuse by HVA administration. Our living condition was different from the Dutch citizens in the 3 sugar factories. The Dutch were living in a secluded area which was fenced so that blacks cannot get in. Gradually, a few educated Ethiopians were rebelling because they want to live in there. So the engineers and doctor Ethiopians were allowed to be living with the Dutch on that Shibo Gibi, means the fenced area. But at 2 corners to get in, there was a guard, Ethiopian guard with a weapon. They were guarding it 24 hours, so no blacks except the boys, which they call garden boy, which they clean up the landscape for the Dutch, and cleaners and babysitters and maids. And they have their own ID like this to go to the white area. They are not allowed in their own country to get in. Regarding the water, of course, I have said it that it was excess fluoride included, and we didn't know about it, especially those who live in plantation areas. They live in the worst. They don't have even tap water in their houses, and they share their toilet, restroom, for 50, 60 residents were sharing that. It was awful. The passage of the canal, toxic waste from the factories were designed through our residential area and potentially endangering the health of the community. so that the pungent smell of the toxic from the factory comes through our living area. There was a canal going through. So sometimes our children, they will get in, drowned, and they die. And that's it. You have to bury your child because it's your fault. It's the child's fault. It's not the Dutch or HVA's fault because there is a canal. Like your residential area is there. All the toxic water from the factory, sulfuric acid, so pungent, you cannot live, you cannot pass by. Forget about living. It was passing through our residential area. Another inhuman treatment of the Dutch was medical treatment. I will show you later on YouTube because I took a tape in 2007. But the Wonji hospital have 3 floors, 3 or 4 floors. Yeah, the 3 are for the blacks, and the 4th one is for the white. Nobody is entitled to get medical treatment. And another thing, the Dutch were treated by a doctor coming to their individual homes when they get sick. But we have to go through clinics, and we have to have a permit from, like for me, I have to tell my father, and my father has to go to his supervisor, and he has to bring a ticket, how many people we are sick, or if one, he will bring the 1 ticket, and I have to go to the clinic. And the clinic, the nurse assistant, they don't have even good education. The nurse assistant will come, and it's normal. I have fever, they give you aspirin. I have malaria, they give you chloroquine. And now people, they get used to the dosage. Like you take for malaria like 6 the first day, 4 the second day, 3rd day you take 2 pills. Chloroquine is known, so we know what they're gonna give us because we have limited medicine to be given to us. But for the Dutch, the doctor goes to their home and they will get different medical treatment. Swimming pool exclusively was for the Dutch. They have swimming pool. Guess what we have? Those irrigation canals that go through our residential area. So many children, they have drowned inside. Then if the body surfaces, you have to go and bury. No question asked. The Dutch have their own movies in their clubs for free, and the rest of us, we have to pay. And we watch in different cinema hall attached to their club. We have a medical treatment discrimination, residential discrimination, recreational discrimination. And there was one allegation. There was a Dutch black belt trainer for the Dutch in Metehara. So him and his friend, they killed 2 Ethiopians who were working in the clubs in Metehara. Their name is, one is Siyum Shagga and one Ato Radi Musa. They were workers in the Dutch club in Metehara, and HVA stated that their cause of death was by drowning, trying to swim in the Dutch swimming pool. But autopsy investigation in Milik Hospital stated that they were killed outside and their bodies were dumped in the swimming pool as a cover-up. This victim wife addressed this issue to the HVA, but were denied any compensation, and the 2 alleged killers were flown right away to the Netherlands because they know the Dutch karate trainer and his friend, they killed these 2 Ethiopians. When I mentioned this, I think in the United Nations, the Netherlands government and HVA, they said, oh, it was unfortunate because they don't know how to swim. They get into the swimming pool and they drowned and they died. That's the answer they gave, but we have a proof for that.